You have been grabbing ice cream bars out of the freezer your entire life without knowing that some of them barely qualify as ice cream. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has specific definitions for what can legally be called ice cream in this country, and a surprising number of the bars sitting in Canadian freezer cases right now are playing games with those definitions. There is a piece of education that unlocks everything on the fake side of this list. In Canada, real ice cream must contain specific levels of milk fat and milk solids. When manufacturers drop below those thresholds, replacing dairy fat with cheaper vegetable oils or using modified milk ingredients instead of actual cream, they can no longer legally call the product ice cream. So they call it frozen dessert instead, printed in small type somewhere on the package, while keeping the same branding, the same imagery, and the same shelf placement as real ice cream. Most Canadians never notice. Let us start with Sobeys' attempt at premium. Walk into any Sobeys, Safeway, or IGA location, and you will find Panache positioned as the premium frozen treat option. The elegant packaging, the sophisticated flavor names, the slightly higher price point that suggests quality. Panache is Sobeys' premium private label brand, formerly known as Sensations by Compliments, repositioned to compete with imported luxury ice cream bars. The marketing tells you this is something special. The ingredient list tells a different story. Take their vanilla and milk chocolate bars. The ice cream component contains cream and milk, yes, but also glucose solids, dextrose, modified milk ingredients, skim milk powder, carob bean gum, mono and diglycerides, guar gum, carrageenan, turmeric, and annatto. That is 12 ingredients for what should be frozen cream on a stick. The coating is even more revealing. Sugar is the first ingredient, followed by coconut oil, then soybean oil, then whole milk powder, then unsweetened chocolate. When vegetable oils appear before cocoa in a chocolate coating, you are eating compound chocolate, not real chocolate. Compound chocolate replaces cocoa butter with cheaper vegetable fats. It sets differently. It melts differently. It tastes different because vegetable oil does not carry flavor the way cocoa butter does. That thin, waxy snap, when you bite through the coating, that is not the satisfying crack of real chocolate. The salted caramel mini bars have an even longer ingredient list. The ice cream alone contains cream, milk, sugar, glucose solids, dextrose, modified milk ingredients, skim milk powder, natural flavor, caramel color, carrageenan, guar gum, locust bean gum, and mono and diglycerides. Then there is the chocolatey coating, which again leads with vegetable oils. Then the salted caramel ripple, then the salty toffee pieces. A layer upon layer of processed ingredients, creating a product that technically qualifies as ice cream, but barely resembles what that category should represent. What makes this particularly frustrating is that Panache is sold at a premium price point. Canadians are paying more for these bars because the branding suggests quality, but the formulation is standard industrial ice cream production. The premium positioning is marketing, not manufacturing. Next, a brand with a genuinely inspiring origin story. Now here is where we encounter one of those heartwarming Canadian business stories that makes the product problems harder to discuss. Three sisters in their early 20s bought a struggling ice cream company in 2001 and turned it into a nationally distributed brand. That is genuinely impressive. The McLaughlin sisters left university, learned ice cream production during a 2-week transition period, and built Shaw's into a company that now operates a state-of-the-art facility in Tillsonburg and sells across Canada through major grocery chains. Their Grammys cupboard flavor, inspired by actual cookies from their actual grandmother's kitchen, is a legitimate success story. But this is not an evaluation of business acumen or family values. This is about what is in the ice cream bar. Shaw's products contain ingredients that have drawn attention from consumers who read labels. Some formulations have been reported to include partially hydrogenated oils, artificial colors, sodium benzoate, and multiple forms of added sugar appearing at various points in the ingredient list: mono and diglycerides, glucose, yellow sugar, fructose, invert sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and then sugar again, listed separately. The sweetness profile becomes overwhelming, and reviewers consistently describe Shaw's products as intensely sweet, to the point where sweetness becomes the only detectable flavor. This is a common characteristic of ice cream that relies heavily on sugar, rather than dairy quality to create satisfaction. Real cream has subtle complexity. High sugar formulations have one note played loudly. Perhaps you grew up with Shaw's, and that flavor profile triggers genuine nostalgia. Taste is subjective, and childhood memory is powerful. But for consumers approaching these bars fresh, without that emotional connection, the ingredient list raises questions about what exactly makes these products special beyond the heartwarming origin story. This next one hurts if you grew up in Atlantic Canada. A company that sold itself to a Quebec dairy giant no longer gets to trade on its Atlantic Canadian heritage the way it once did. That is the reality of what happened to Scotsburn. Founded as a creamery in Scotsburn, Nova Scotia in 1900, this was originally a farmers' cooperative producing butter for the local community. The evolution into ice cream happened gradually, and for decades, Scotsburn was genuinely synonymous with Atlantic Canadian dairy quality. The moon mist flavor became so culturally significant that there have been actual petitions about recipe changes. That is regional food identity at its most powerful. Then came 2016. East Scotsburn Cooperative Services Limited agreed to sell its assets to AgroPur Cooperative, the Quebec-based dairy giant. The deal covered plants in Truro, Nova Scotia, and Lachute, Quebec, manufacturing more than 50 million liters of frozen dairy products annually. Total annual sales exceeded $150 million. AgroPur is enormous. They process major dairy brands like Iogo, Nitrel, and Oka. Before acquiring Scotsburn, they had minimal presence in the ice cream market. This acquisition tripled their ice cream sales overnight. The Scotsburn brand continues. The products still appear in Atlantic Canadian freezers, but the independent regional cooperative that built the brand no longer exists. Corporate consolidation in the dairy industry is not inherently evil. Sometimes it protects jobs and maintains production. But there is a reason Atlantic Canadian consumers felt something shift after 2017. When a cooperative becomes a subsidiary, the relationship between producer and consumer changes. Decisions get made in distant boardrooms based on national strategy rather than regional loyalty. The formulations serve corporate efficiency rather than regional pride. This is not speculation about quality. It is recognition that the company making these products today is fundamentally different from the company that created the brand. From the Prairies, a manufacturer you have probably never heard of. Founded in Winnipeg in 2005, this family-owned operation focuses primarily on private label manufacturing. They produce ice cream for other brands, filling orders according to specifications provided by grocery chains and distributors. The Prairie West branded products represent a smaller portion of their overall business. The company is Canadian-owned and uses Canadian milk. They operate a facility inspected by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency with third-party certification. Their Canasian line of flavors, including green tea, coconut, mango, and honeydew melon, shows genuine creativity in expanding beyond the standard vanilla chocolate strawberry rotation. There are things to appreciate about this operation, but the core business model explains the product characteristics. Private label manufacturing is fundamentally about hitting price points. When your primary customers are grocery chains demanding specific margins, every ingredient decision gets filtered through cost optimization. Check where these products are sold. No frills. Real Canadian superstore. Budget-focused banners where price sensitivity drives purchasing decisions. That is not criticism of the stores or the shoppers. That is recognition that products positioned for these channels are engineered accordingly. When you see Prairie West at these retailers, you are seeing a product designed to be affordable first and delicious second. The 4-liter pails and 1.5-liter bricks that constitute their primary offerings are built for volume consumption, not premium experience. These are products for feeding crowds at birthday parties, not for savoring slowly after dinner. There is a place for that category. It just should not be confused with quality. If you are finding this useful and want to see more investigations into what is actually in Canadian food products, hit subscribe. It helps the channel grow and means you will catch the next video when it drops. Finally, on the avoid list, a West Coast artisan producer, a small family-owned company based on Vancouver Island, hand-dipping ice cream bars using 100% Canadian dairy. I'm building their business through local grocery stores before expanding across Western Canada. Started in 2020, launched their first products in 2021, now available in over 200 locations across British Columbia and Alberta. Hazel's ice cream represents exactly the kind of artisan producer that food enthusiasts want to support. The bars are genuinely hand-dipped. The company earned certification aligning their products with Canadian Food Inspection Agency guidelines. They make claims about being peanut-free and gluten-free with the documentation to back them up. The family that runs the operation includes someone who previously managed food and flower farms, bringing agricultural sensibility to frozen desserts. Their dog Hazel serves as brand mascot and apparently loves attention at events. So why is this on the avoid list? Because being small and artisan and family-owned does not automatically translate to being better. The flavor range at Hazel's skews heavily toward novelty. Bubblegum dipped in white chocolate, orange float, cookies and cream. These are fun concepts, but they are concepts built on coatings and toppings rather than exceptional base ice cream. The coating is described as Belgian chocolate, which sounds premium, but Belgian chocolate is a geographical indicator, not a quality guarantee. Belgian chocolate can be compound chocolate manufactured in Belgium just as easily as it can be couverture chocolate with proper cocoa butter content. The distinction matters enormously for flavor and texture. Hazel's is expanding rapidly, moving from local farmers markets and bike path vendors to Safeway and Thrifty Foods through Sobeys Buy Local program. That growth requires production scaling that often conflicts with handcrafted quality. The company that hand-dipped bars in a small Victoria shop is not the same operation supplying multi-packs to grocery chains across 2 provinces. Regional distribution creates another challenge. These products are only available in British Columbia and Alberta. For most Canadians, Hazel's is not even an option. Recommending a product that the majority of viewers cannot purchase would be odd. But more importantly, the actual products available do not justify chasing them down. Now for the ice cream you have been eating without knowing it. This Ontario operation started as something entirely different. In 1896, a farmers' cooperative just outside Peterborough began producing cheese and butter from milk, supplied by local dairy farmers. Central Smith has been serving that community for over 125 years, though the specific products have evolved dramatically. The ice cream production began in 1952, and in 1978, the Skates family purchased the operation. That family ownership continues today with Jennifer and Ian Skates running the business. In 1979, they opened a small window at the factory door to serve scoops directly to locals. That window service continues each summer, operating from May through Thanksgiving weekend. What distinguishes Central Smith is their business model. Rather than chasing grocery chain distribution under their own brand, they focused almost exclusively on wholesale supply. As Jennifer Skates has explained, most Canadians have probably ordered Central Smith ice cream without knowing it. The company supplies scoop shops, restaurants, cafes, and ice cream parlors across the country. You might recognize their products, you just do not recognize the name. This approach allowed them to prioritize product quality over brand marketing. When you are supplying other businesses that stake their reputation on the ice cream they serve, quality control becomes your primary differentiator. The Globe and Mail recently profiled the company, noting that their success is built on looking after customers rather than just moving product. Central Smith uses 100% Ontario milk. They create over 75 flavors, including genuinely creative options like Algonquin Canoe, Monster Cookie, Lavender Lemonade, and Grand Slam. They manufacture sherbets, frozen yogurts, and dietetic options alongside traditional ice cream. Their bars and novelties are available at the Dairy Bar and through wholesale distribution. The old red-roofed facility, where local farmers once hauled milk by horse and cart, still houses their production. The technology has upgraded, but the scale remains manageable. This is not industrial frozen dessert manufacturing. This is ice cream made by people who care about what they are making. And now, the best. A company that rebuilt itself from literal ashes to become the largest independent ice cream manufacturer in Canada. A family business that has won international awards while maintaining production in a small Ontario town. You're an operation that uses 100% Canadian dairy and has never wavered from that commitment, even when cheaper alternatives became available. Chapman's was founded in 1973 when David and Penny Chapman purchased the old creamery in Markdale, Ontario. They moved into the rooms above the facility and started their family and their business simultaneously. 4 employees and 2 old trucks. That was the entire operation. On September 4, 2009, a welder's spark ignited a fire that destroyed the factory. 36 years of work went up in flames over 3 days. The municipality ran out of water trying to extinguish the blaze. In a town of around 1,200 people, where Chapman's employed 350 workers, the economic devastation appeared total. David Chapman called a staff meeting before the firefighters had left the smoldering ruins. The factory would be rebuilt. No employee would miss a paycheck or a Christmas bonus. Through business interruption insurance, inventory stored at a distribution center down the road, equipment purchased from a coincidentally listed ice cream factory in Florida, and help from smaller producers around the province, Chapman's was making ice cream again within 7 weeks. Project Phoenix, a new state-of-the-art manufacturing facility the length of 2 football fields, began construction before the end of that year. Today, Chapman's operates hundreds of thousands of square feet of state-of-the-art facilities, employs over 700 full-time and seasonal workers, and produces more than 280 different frozen treats. Their products have won multiple awards from the International Ice Cream Consortium, including Best Ice Cream for their caramel saucy spots, Most Innovative Ice Cream, and Ice Cream Maker of the Year. The company has donated millions to the local hospital, hospice, and schools. But awards and philanthropy do not explain why their ice cream bars deserve the top position. The product itself does. Chapman's ice cream bars are made with 100% Canadian dairy. Not frozen dessert, not modified milk ingredients standing in for cream. Real ice cream with real milk fat from Canadian cows. The company proudly states they are the largest processor of butterfat in Canada. When cheaper American dairy opened up after regulatory changes, they refused to switch. Their creamy milk chocolate bar contains vanilla ice cream enrobed in premium milk chocolate, not chocolatey coating, not compound chocolate. Chapman's milk chocolate made with sugar, whole milk powder, unsweetened chocolate, cocoa butter, lactose, soy lecithin, and vanilla extract. Cocoa butter is in there, doing the work that real chocolate coating requires. The ice cream itself uses fresh cream, sugars, modified milk ingredients, and natural stabilizers. Not 17 different forms of processed sweetener, not artificial colors, not preservatives with chemical names that require a pronunciation guide. Their Canadian Collection line offers sensible 55 milliliter servings in multiple flavor combinations. Their super novelties range includes cones, sandwiches, and bars all made to the same standards. Everything comes from their nut-free facility, making Chapman's products accessible to families dealing with allergies that exclude them from most of the frozen novelty category. The Markdale Creamery line, recently rebranded from their original ice cream offerings to celebrate 50 years in business, features the actual creamery building from 1973 on the packaging. The production facility where these products are manufactured represents modern food safety standards, while the formulation represents traditional ice cream values. When Penny Chapman received a call from a 10-year-old boy with peanut allergies who had never been able to have ice cream at his own birthday party, she knew she had to act. That response to a single child's experience shaped company policy for decades. Chapman's allergen-free options exist because the family who owns the company cares about the children who cannot eat what everyone else enjoys. During the pandemic, Chapman's volunteered their industrial freezers to the Grey Bruce Health Unit for vaccine storage. Canadian consumers voted with their wallets, and they voted for Chapman's. This is a company that could have walked away after the fire, could have relocated to a larger city with better logistics, could have sold to a multinational, and cashed out decades of hard work. Instead, they rebuilt in Markdale, kept every employee, expanded production, maintained quality, and continued making ice cream the way ice cream should be made. Flip every ice cream bar over before you buy it. If it says frozen dessert, put it back. If the coating lists vegetable oil before cocoa, put it back. If the ingredient list runs longer than this paragraph, consider whether all those additives are actually improving your experience or just reducing manufacturing costs. Real ice cream bars are not hard to find in Canada. They are just buried under marketing from brands that quietly swapped dairy quality for cheaper alternatives and hoped nobody would check. Now you know what to check for. Subscribe and tell us your go-to ice cream bar in the comments.